Hello, my name is Mark Lipman. I'm running for State Senate on February 15th. I hope you can vote for me. As a Gulf War era veteran who understands what's happening to our returning vets, I wanted to bring you here today to Arlington West Memorial to show you a little bit about what's going on. Now, we got veterans who come home and have no services. Everyone keeps trying to pass the buck to point somewhere else for the solution. We need to all take responsibility because these are our sons and daughters who are going off to war and then coming home with nothing. 1 out of every 3 homeless persons on the street are veterans, many in wheelchairs and without limbs. They are the Ron Kovics of this world, all but forgotten. Now, I can feel their pain, and I want to help them. I want to help every single person living out here on the streets, living in poverty. And our veterans make up a big portion of that. Now come over here, I want to show you something. Imagine walking with 1 foot in front of the other, toe to heel. Each step is 1 Iraqi life. If you took 1 step for each Iraqi life, you would walk 190 miles. Well, imagine coming home without a leg. How can you walk? Maybe you can wheel 190 miles. So what's your name?
Kenneth White.
Ken, you've been down here almost every weekend helping to set up here.
Every weekend.
What do you do?
Since 07. What I do is I dress up the memorial, put up the walls, and basically pretty much help out where our And I remember coming down here, it was in March of 07, and they had some people were speaking, reciting poetry. MC Hammer might have been here. There were some vets. But the first thing that I did, I met Michael Lindley, and I told him, hey, I came out here to volunteer. What can I do to help? And it was the morning after candlelight vigil, so the red cups were out. And he asked me to go and pick up the cups. And as I was picking up the cups, I was reading the mementos that you see over here, and I was so gripped by what was written on the mementos that I couldn't stop volunteering. Sure. And I met people, progressive-minded people, the people that pretty much thought the way I was. They were still reinforcing to me that I wasn't crazy.
Gotcha.
So
let me ask you a question. I see red crosses and white crosses here. What's the difference?
Each white cross stands for 1 soldier that died, and each of the red crosses stands for 10. And the reason we do that is because the city only lets us have a certain amount of space going in that direction.
Gotcha.
So the red crosses will denote 10. And if you see blue crosses, the blue crosses will stand for the soldiers that lost their lives in the last 7 days.
Gotcha. So if you had white crosses for everyone, it'd span the beach?
It would span the beach. And if you counted the civilians, I guess the crosses would go all the way to Orange County.
Oh, there you go. Enough said on that.
Yeah.
What do you think about what's happening for the returning vets?
They're the best and the brightest, and I think more should be done because you're getting in a situation where you train them to go over there and do their jobs, and they come back. I think it should be a lot more done as far as making a transition back into society as a whole, because it's once you're trained, you can't. Once you flick the switch on, it's hard to flick it off. I think there should be a lot more done as far as
More of a support system.
More of a support system, because you did send them out there. They did make the supreme sacrifice.
So we should take care of them when they come back home.
They shouldn't have to ask.
There you go. They shouldn't have to
They
ask.
shouldn't have to ask.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
Who are you? What do you do here with Veterans for Peace?
Okay, Chapter President, Chapter 7, Veterans for Peace. My name is Michael Lindley.
How long has the memorial been here?
February will be up 7 years.
Okay. And why are you guys here?
Mission statement says we're here to honor the young men and women that died in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're here to get people to understand what the cost of war is all about. We're here to talk about veterans issues.
Okay.
You know,
What are some of those issues? What's going on?
Make sure that these young men and women getting back, you're getting taken care of properly. You know,
Okay.
the money's there, the money's there, the money's there. You know.
What are some of the things they're facing?
Well, I've been facing a lot of problems. There's a lot of amputees, double, triple amputees. There's a lot of stress. You know, PTSD. You know, a lot of mental issues.
Okay.
You know, there'll be a lot of homelessness, many problems.
What type of services are they getting now?
It all depends on where you're from, if you're,
Okay.
and how you work it. Some guys are getting good results.
Okay.
Some guys aren't getting good results at all.
How about California?
California's up and down. You know, I mean,
Okay.
some guys are getting good response. Some guys are getting not what they want. You know, I mean, not getting what they want. You know?
What can we do better?
Money.
Okay.
That's it. You know, money's the big answer. Money will be put more doctors into the hospitals. It'll grow the hospitals. A friend whose dad is a veteran was put in the emergency hospital. He spent 4 days in emergency before he got a room. There's more. The problem is that the hospitals aren't big enough. The veterans issues are growing all the time. You know, they constantly grow.
Sure. A lot about that it's a federal issue and that the state doesn't need to get involved because it's a federal problem.
Well, the states can be involved if they want to. I mean, you know, they can do things about it if they need to. You know, they got governments too, and but it is a big federal issue. I mean, let's put it this way: if you're going to spend $1 trillion on the war, you need to spend $1 trillion bringing these young men and women back together. You know, bringing them back together. You know,
Sure.
Well,
when
you
they
know,
come home.
and it's
sure.
a long-term thing too. It's not a short-term thing. It's we had a gentleman down here who was a Vietnam veteran. He was he's an above the leg amputee.
Okay.
And right about when the rack started getting really up and going, you know, he was having a lot of problems. So he was having trouble getting service because of his amputee, and there were so many amputees coming in, you know, from the service. He was getting a lot of problems. So he ended up having a lot of problems himself. So the demand is there. So the demand isn't going to be just, you know, these young men and women are coming out of hospitals today. They, you know, you see them, they come out, okay, they're our heroes, you know, and they're this, they're that. Look at this young man, look what he's doing. He's walking on 2 prosthetic legs and he's using prosthetic arms. What's it going to be like 20 years from now, and 30 years from now, and 40 years from now?
And where are a lot of them winding up?
On the streets. On the streets, you know. A lot of them wind up in some kind of depression. And, you know, committing suicide. You know, the thing is there is it needs to be help. Help needs to be there. Money needs to be spent. If you're going to put them out there in the field, you got to correct the problem. You know, they have to be motivated too. They have to
want to do something.
Yeah, and they have to motivate themselves.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that, you know, depression takes a lot of that away from you. So the government has to make sure that these things aren't happening. You know, it's because, and you say, well, why should it be the government? Because the government put them in that position.
Yes. It's our responsibility.
It's our responsibility.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the face of the returning vets. These are your war heroes, and they got nothing coming back home. Look over here. This is the other side. The Iraqi civilians. They're all victims of war. And we need to stop this. The endless war is destroying all of us. And the veterans coming home aren't receiving the proper care that they need. I want to put a stop to that. I want to help the veterans. And I think you should too. Thank you.